Welcome to Beyond the Balance Sheet, the podcast where we unravel the intricate tapestry of financial operations within GMP and share the untold stories, processes, and systems that lie beneath the surface. I'm your host, Justin McKinney, and together we'll embark on a journey that goes far beyond the numbers and spreadsheets. Each episode of Beyond the Balance Sheet will feature engaging conversations with GMP thought leaders or partners on key topics designed to broaden your knowledge and perspective into the financial workings of GMP and your clients' financials. Today's topic is the GMP staff travel policy and reimbursement process. I'm pleased to introduce our esteemed panelists for today, Dana Altendorf, the Director of Client and Team Experience for GMP, and Megan Pfefferly, Director of Operations for GMP. Thank you both for joining us.
Thanks, Justin. Long-time listener, first-time caller, and happy to be here.
I
Great
don't
to
know if I
have
can
you.
top that, but hey, it's nice to be here.
Great to have you both on. So, Dana and Megan, thank you for joining us today on Beyond the Balance Sheet. At GMP, we understand that business travel is a crucial part of our operations. To ensure that our staff is reimbursed for normal and reasonable expenses, GMP has established clear guidelines. Let's break down the key points of our travel and expense reimbursement policy.
Yeah, so like Justin mentioned, many of our team members they travel one to multiple times throughout the year. And so it's a really good refresher for everyone that GMP we reimburse for expenses that are related to transportation, meals, and lodging when you're conducting that business. Big thing to remember is that you want to keep those appropriate receipts and documentation because that's what's going to be required for the reimbursement, which must be processed within 30 days of the expense.
So, when requesting that reimbursement, what do you need to provide to ensure a timely reimbursement for you? I know if it was me, I wouldn't want to run up a bunch of charges and then not have my ducks in a row so that I don't get paid back in a good, timely fashion.
Yeah, absolutely. So, four things that you want to have. You want to have the amount of the expense, the time and place of the expense, the purpose of it, and then a copy of the receipt that's going to match and accompany the reimbursement request. I know when I'm traveling, my habit is as soon as I make a purchase and I have that receipt in hand, I always take a picture on my camera and text or email it to myself just in case I lose it, or else I've got a certain spot in my backpack just to always have it at handy. So when I'm back at my office, I can go ahead and file that reimbursement as needed.
That's a great tip. Thanks for that. So let's dig into the policy itself a little bit more. Megan, can you elaborate on lodging, hotel, meals, transportation, tips, that sort of thing?
Absolutely, Justin. So, as Dana has elaborated on, as staff, we are each responsible for making our lodging arrangements or following whatever might that guideline may be inside your team. If your ED is making the arrangements for everyone, that's fine, but you need to make sure that we don't have an outside person making our hotel arrangements for you. So you want to make sure that you are making your arrangements and they are consistent with our travel policy. You want to make sure that you are booking yourself into lodging that is comparable in pricing to what the client would normally pay. So in other words, don't overspend, but don't feel like you have to stay at the super low priced hotel as well. You have to attach that hotel bill to your reimbursement request, keeping in mind that your meals, your telephone, your valet parking, anything that can be charged to your room, you can certainly do that. Just make sure you break those things out on the captions in that reimbursement form. As far as staff meals go, we encourage and expect our staff to eat meals that are provided for them during the meetings or client events. Outside of these, actual expenses for food, non-alcoholic beverages, and up to 2 alcoholic beverages will be reimbursed. And you can click on a government issued per diem guidelines or check with your ED or GMP management and will guide you as far as what is a standard daily cost for those things. Business meals if you were to take a client out, please make sure you include the name of the guest, what the business affiliation is, and what the nature of that business expense or luncheon, dinner was. Um, all of those things are going to help ensure that your reimbursement is processed timely. We'll process and reimburse tips up to 20% for services like cabs related to the business. And probably none of us are doing a cab much anymore. So those Uber tips, we want you to make sure you're using the most economical option for transportation, but at the same time, maintaining your safety and meeting your travel needs. When you're booking commercial airlines, you want to make sure you're trying to book coach or the lowest cost fares. Try to purchase tickets in advance. On ground transportation or mileage statements must be submitted as well. I do kind of want to pull Dana in here because she just booked a trip recently and discovered a little tip when looking at what is actually the cheapest price. Dana, you want to elaborate on what just happened with you when you were booking your United flight?
Yeah, so United made a change. When you book your flights there, it's going to give you options of basic economy, economy, and business, and so on. And so I looked, and it was an $80 difference between the basic economy and economy. It's the same flights, but $80 difference. And so I'm like, well, I'll just take the basic economy. I don't care what seat I get assigned. But learning that with that, the difference between the basic economy and economy is not just choosing your seat ahead of time, but it is you are not able to bring a carry-on. You can have a personal bag or item like a backpack, but you cannot bring a carry-on onto the flight without paying $40 each way. So my $80 difference was essentially me having to check a bag. And had I not realized that, it would have been $65 at the gate. And so that's something you just want to be mindful of. Airlines are going to be changing what their additional costs are going to be. And so just, something that they're going to be changing in the future. So that might not always be the way, but definitely worth noting. And the other thing I was going to add on to Megan is, this is a GMP's policy, and always make sure that you talk with your executive director about if there are any rules that are different or standards that are different for your clients of their expectations as well too, because those may supersede what the GMP policy is of what will be reimbursed as well.
100%. And I want to add one last thing on transportation. If you're booking, just kind of another little tip, and I didn't know this until we got it this week, that if you're booking a Delta flight, you can use your Delta, if you're a Delta member, you can use your Delta frequent flyer number, but you can also check a little box that says your company is part of a corporate program and put the corporate number in for GMP, and that then benefits GMP as an organization as far as miles and rewards and awards as well.
I'm going to tag on to that as well. I found out during the travel for the accounting team's yearly strategic planning that the hotel was able to combine my pre-existing, I believe it's Hilton Honors account, with the GMP one so that both of us got credit for the stay. So just, it never hurts to ask the question when you're traveling to make sure that both GMP and any pre-existing personal rewards programs, if you can double them up, definitely take advantage of that. So, okay, well, now that we have an understanding of the main expenses incurred, Dana, can you walk us through some of those miscellaneous reimbursable and non-reimbursable expenses?
Absolutely. So some of the reimbursable expenses, that's going to include internet connectivity. So if you have to pay for it on your flight or a hotel, so that way you can continue to do any business while traveling. One checked bag, unless there's a pre-approval. If you have excess baggage or overweight because you have to bring, let's say, meeting supplies in your luggage, that would be approved. And then if your travel takes you somewhere where there's visa or immunizations that are required, that will be covered as well. Items that are not reimbursable, lost or luggage contents that you should be requesting through the airline, any annual fees for an airline VIP club or lounge, travel insurance, health club access. There's a whole list in the policy that outlines, and so I'd recommend taking a look at that. The biggest items, again, going back to the first question Justin asked me, is you want to make sure that if those expenses aren't submitted within 30 days, they won't be reimbursed, and they won't be reimbursed without the receipts. At the end of the day, if you've got a question, ask.
Absolutely. Okay, any closing thoughts? Hearing none, I will say that's a wrap on our travel and expense reimbursement guidelines and instructions. We hope that this podcast helps clarify the GMP policy and ensures a smooth reimbursement process for all our staff. Like Dana said, if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to your manager or a member of the finance team. We'd like to thank you all for joining us today on Beyond the Balance Sheet as we reviewed the policies for travel reimbursement. Continue to stay tuned for future episodes where we will tackle a number of new tasks.